Yongzi knelt deeply before Yi, his voice urgent, as he laid out the hardships the Dragon Blood Society was enduring. He explained that while they could, of course, seek help from senior courts to crush Yanjiandang, there exists an unwritten rule between cohorts. A cohort's grievances must be settled within that cohort. And if he asked seniors to intervene today, tomorrow Xianjianjiang would surely bring along the Huadu locals from that cohort and tear the Dragon Blood Society apart. Thinking of that, Ouyangzi swallowed his pride, bowed his head, repeatedly prostrating himself, and begging. For among those in their court, only he had the standing and the strength to intervene. Please, he implored. He save our Dragon Blood Society. Having heard this, he inwardly already intended to help, but outwardly he kept an indifferent expression, tilting his head as if weighing the matter, then said nonchalantly, all right, then. Hearing that, Yangzi was so overjoyed he almost sprang up, his voice trembling with excitement. You agree. On behalf of all the brothers of the Dragon Blood Society. Before he could finish, I cut him off coldly. I haven't finished yet. His gaze turned suddenly stern, each word clear and decisive. But we've been sent to one. Pressed by that piercing gaze until he could no longer hide it, Ouyangzi reluctantly spoke. He said the plan to reclaim the Great Xia had been leaked by a familiar teacher, and since it wasn't a secret, it didn't violate any rules. Growing impatient, cut him off and told Ouyangzi not to be long-winded and to get straight to the point. Ouyangzi then explained clearly, the plan to retake Great Xia is a campaign mobilizing all martial arts practitioners across the country to recapture 12 cities and the surrounding areas occupied by demonic beasts. All martial arts academies will take part. Senior students at Imperial University must lead the charge, while first-year students, though not on the front lines, will be responsible for the peripheral districts of the occupied cities. Even the final exams and the selection for class president will be carried out during the execution of this operation. Saying this, he turned a grateful look toward Yi and in an earnest tone said, in this operation, the Long Blood Society would be entirely under his command. They only hoped he could achieve the highest possible results. But Yi merely narrowed his eyes and in a low, cold voice cut in to say that wasn't difficult. It's just that before they began, Ouyangzi still had one task to complete for him. Yi's decisive manner made Ouyangzi break out in a sweat. He hesitated and asked, and what else? And it turned out to be nothing more than helping Yi deal with the camera mounted on the ceiling. He stood below directing, arms casually folded, watching while issuing orders. Hurry up. Take that camera down for me. After it was done, Ouyangzi left in high spirits. He called after him then, half teasing, half furious. Ouyangzi, you just done me a big favor. He added, I've confirmed that as long as you achieve accomplishments, you'll have a chance to draw samples, and the higher the achievement, the greater the chance of high-grade samples appearing. When Ouyangzi had gone, he immediately revealed his true face. He muttered to himself. He really did have an act for business. If he could clear the way for him with that ability, elevating the Long Blood Society into a top force in the Hua district wouldn't be impossible. Once the Long Blood Society reached that scale, the rewards would surely far surpass what he had received before. Martial arts, wealth, strength, everything would have to be firmly in his hands. The scene shifts to the Long Blood Society headquarters where the martial arts students had gathered in full, including the lion-headed man. All of them were eagerly awaiting Yi's return. Having waited for a long time, Qin Chen, who had once clashed with others, couldn't help but call out loudly to Yan Zhan, he still hasn't come back. Why is he taking so long? A flicker of doubt rose in Yan Zhan's chest. He thought that Qin Chen really flipped sides faster than turning over a hand. When the Long Blood Society was at its height, he always called him President Yi, showing outward politeness and respect. Yet now, he not only dared to call him by his name, but his words and attitude were also openly provocative. It was clear he had come with ill intentions. With no good intention, Yanning spun around and shouted loudly enough for everyone in the association to hear, the vice president has gone to fetch the true president of the Dragon Blood Society and will be back shortly. Those words left the martial disciples stunned. A few people cried out in surprise. The real president, Xinchen, who had previously clashed with Yi, couldn't help but tremble when he heard that name. Lan Yuzi, standing behind him, also went pale. The memory of that day made her shudder. Xinchen voice turned shaky and wary. Could it be him? He immediately sprang to his feet, and, turning to Yunheng, demanded anxiously, You're not relying on Yi, are you? You should know how powerful the Sword Sect's brother is among the first-year cohort. No one can match him. The Dragon Blood Society has no chance to turn things around now. It's wiser to withdraw. You've already reaped enough benefits from the Dragon Blood Society. You should know when to stop. Lan Yuzi cut in, her tone mocking and calculating. Exactly. Putting your hopes in an outsider is nothing but courting death. The wise seek a place to shelter. The Dragon Blood Society is only a fleeting flash. The more you cling to it, the more you will be crushed under the wheels of history. Those two were clearly and openly opposing them, trying to shake the morale of the martial students. Yan Hang understood their intent at a glance. His face darkened and his voice dropped, edged with anger. Are you planning to rebel? But Zinshan remained unshaken. Instead, he forced a grin and, with smooth rhetoric, continued to sow doubt among the crowd. Surely, you all know of the Zhu family of the capital. That is the true martial aristocratic house of Great Xia. The mainstream of the Zhu family, Xiu Kai, has offered to take us in and arrange a secure position for each of us. Following young Master Qi would be far better than continuing to cling to this dying Dragon Blood Society, waiting to be crushed by the Sword Sex brother, isn't it? Hearing those words, the crowd was gradually persuaded, and the calls of encouragement swelled into a noisy wave of agreement. Mei shouted, that's right, he hasn't been seen for half a year. And he stayed silent when provoked by the capital's members. Who would still have hope? Eager voices agreed that there was no longer any hope of saving the Dragon Blood Society, that everyone had already tried their best for the guild. And now that it was falling, they had to find a better place for themselves. Xinchen smiled inwardly. An unexpected turn of events unfolded at the Dragon Blood Society's clubhouse, culminating in a dramatic confrontation. The wavering members had ultimately fallen in line with his plans, leaving Yanjun furious but helpless. How dare you? He shouted in impotent rage. Suddenly, the door to the room was thrust open, and a shaggy, bearded man with a cocky, swaggering demeanor barged in. In a domineering voice, he barked, Xinchen, why are you taking so long? I'm getting impatient down here. At the sight of this newcomer, Xinchen and Lan Yuzi immediately adopted respectful expressions, greeting him cheerfully. Brother Kai, everything is done. We're ready to go. Yan Jingying roared that this was the Dragon Blood Society's clubhouse and questioned how the intruder dared to storm in. However, the man called Brother Kai showed no respect. With a brazen look, he taunted, go on, come and hit me. He then thumped his chest, promising monetary compensation and cultivation resources to any of the gatekeepers who were injured. He boasted that one punch would be enough to make them eagerly accept the reward. The provocation was more than Yan Jingying could bear. He clenched his fist and lunged forward, snarling, you bastard. But his blow was intercepted by a woman who rushed in with equal speed. She looked at Yan Jingying, her expression turning as cold and hard as ice and steel. He could sense that this woman was not to be taken lightly. From the back, Brother Kai sneered and berated everyone, ordering Xinchen, Lan Yuzi, and those hoping to join him to rush in and beat Yan Jingying to the point of hospitalization to prove their loyalty. It was a violent summons intended to intimidate and sway factions to his side. However, the members of the Dragon Blood Society hesitated, their gazes wavering. No one moved to carry out Kai's orders. Their hesitation only enraged him further. He bellowed, his voice booming through the room as he unleashed arrogant threats. If you don't obey, you won't leave here intact. This isn't a place for trash, and dogs that don't bite aren't worth keeping. His shouting seemed to shake the very space. But immediately after, a cold, murderous aura, as if tearing the air itself, spread suddenly. It made Kai and his followers shudder, their bodies going rigid, and their legs unsteady. It felt as though a terrible pressure was bearing down from behind. Then, a strong hand clamped down on his head, and a majestic voice, like a roaring beast, sounded. The newcomer had appeared, speaking with an approach that suggested Xinchen had left him an utter mess. He had heard everything from upstairs. Yan Jingying immediately bowed his head and apologized, admitting that the Dragon Blood Society needed new blood and to be cleansed. He, however, still showed no sense, continuing to shout curses arrogantly and demanding to know if the man knew who he was. But no sooner had he finished speaking